Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Hello, Spooklings.
I'm Jason,
And I'm Kathy.
and we're the hosts of the weekly podcast, All Hallows Eve Podcast.
We are a husband and wife duo with a passion for anything spooky, macabre, and true crime, sprinkled with our own twist of comedy.
We explore topics such as the history of Halloween, the Butcher of Plainfield, Hocus Pocus 2, urban legends, superstitions, and more.
So come join us as we go down the rabbit hole that is All Hallows Eve Podcast.
Listen and follow us at allhallowsevepodcast.com or your favorite podcast provider.
Stay spooky, my friends.
Lady, go! Wow, it feels like we just did this on Monday. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 113 of Films and Fermentation. That's right, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're just three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. This episode, episode 113, is titled Feels Like the First Time. Feels like the first time. Feels like the very first time. On this episode, we're going to discuss movies we wish we could watch again for the first time. Sometimes a movie hits you in a certain way the first time you see it, and you wish you could somehow relive that experience. That's what we're going to do tonight. Try to relive that experience a little bit. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family. You can join us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Pods, wherever you get your podcasts or wherever you go for your social media links. We are now also on Instagram Threads. So we have joined a new social media platform. From what I can tell, it's pretty much Instagram's version of Twitter.
Yeah, so much so that Twitter is
Twitter's
telling
not happy about it.
Threads to cease and desist.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Elon.
Very similar to Twitter.
Mhm.
I only have one post on there so far anyway. It's just, hey, we're here and we're also here, and it's a link to our Linktree site. So yeah, you can also visit Teespring, get some of our merch, or become a supporter at Patreon so we can help Kevin get some new equipment.
Thank you, guys.
What are we
New
drinking?
headphones.
Yeah, what are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
I'll see if
I
you
am
guys.
drinking.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
I'll go first.
Okay.
You go first.
Since you guys are
Right.
fighting over it, I'll go first. I decided I was going to, since we're talking about, the first time we saw these films tonight, I would have a drink that I haven't had before. So this is the first time I am trying this. It's one from my buddy Mike, because it came from Georgia. It's from the Creature Comforts Brewing Company. It's called the Classic City Lager. Made from the choicest malted barley and hops, a clean, crisp, easy drinking lager. 4.2 alcohol by volume. It's a little bitter for a lager, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
This is the first time I'm trying it. So now you guys can fight over who's next.
me,
Go ahead, Kevin.
me.
Go ahead,
Well, I'm
Kevin.
going to see if you guys can tell. I will just hold it up, and you guys should be able to at least take a
Moscow
good-
Mule.
Moscow Mule. There you go.
It's some,
I
it's
got
some
it,
kind
yeah.
of mule.
I can tell by the mug.
That's right. So you guys know I talk about Benash all the time, and their
Mhm.
mystery beers, their craft mystery pack, and we've gotten 2 recently, and both of the mystery packs have included a Crabtree alcoholic ginger beer, which are very good to begin with. So I was like, hey, we got vodka, we got lime juice, we got Crabtree ginger beer. All it needs is a little lime, a little mint, and perfection.
Nice.
All it took for me was the mug, because I know every
Yes.
time I order a mule, I get a mug like that.
Mm-hmm. We have dimpled ones, but these were the ones that were accessible.
Mike, what do you got going on?
I am drinking an Old Smoky Moonshine's Blackberry Lemonade Moonshine Cocktail. It is 9% alcohol by volume.
Yes, that is a very good cocktail. I've had that before.
Mhm.
I've had mules before. I have not had a Classic City Lager before, so that's what I'm drinking right now.
I had
Nice.
nothing new in my refrigerator, so
I'll
The
bring
only thing
you
I
a mystery pack next time, Mike. I'll get you Benash's 12-pack mystery pack.
The only thing I have in my fridge that I haven't had before are things that you guys have given me. I actually considered drinking like a beer I wish I had had for the first time all over again, but I didn't really have any in my fridge that kind of fit that category. I thought maybe Dragon's Milk, but I was like, I don't know if I'm in for the
Sweet Baby
super
Jesus?
heavy beer tonight. Sweet Baby Jesus. No, the sourdough pretzel beer.
Oh, not the Christmas tree beer?
I don't know which one's worse. Mike, anything interesting happened this week?
This week in film history. Actually, these all happened today in film history.
Today
1933.
is July 6th,
Yes.
as of the recording.
1933, Nerdsy Rhymes short film starring Ted Healy, excuse me, and his Stooges premiere. One of the first films appearance of the Three Stooges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they went on to their own success. Ted Healy was an actor, and he was their manager for a short time, and that's how they used to be introduced. Ted Healy and the Stooges.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of went off on their own and became the megastars they were at the time in the 30s and 40s. What's your next one? Speaking of Three Stooges, here's something fairly similar.
In 1945, Abbott and Costello's film The Naughty 90s released features the longest version of their Who's on First routine.
Yes, I've seen the extra long version of Who's on 1st. I
Mhm.
actually have a T-shirt that has the entire transcript on the back of it and a picture of them on the front in the baseball uniforms.
I'd say the Stooges were definitely more slapstick, and
Mhm.
Abbott and Costello were more, repertoire. Yeah, working off
More-
each other.
Yeah, more straight
verbal.
man and funny
Mhm.
man kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're also talking like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, that era, you had like this just
Oh, the
boom of
vaudeville, yeah.
vaudeville and like team comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had team comedies. You had
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello, you had Laurel and Hardy, you had Three
Mhm.
Stooges, Marx Brothers. So it was like groups,
And
wasn't
later
just like
on-
a single
Mhm.
comedian.
Then later on, you had Hope and Crosby.
Yeah.
Dean and Jerry.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was like kind of the boom of this. But the Who's on First routine, the extra long one, it goes from
the outfield.
who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third, and then the pitcher is today, the catcher is tomorrow.
Mhm.
The outfielders all have names too, like
I don't know.
like I don't know yesterday or something like that. Like it's all like days of the week or phrases that can be misconstrued, and it's really long, but it's just as
Actually, I
funny
don't know
as
who's on
the
third.
abridged version. What's that, Mike?
I don't know who's on third.
I don't know who's on third. Yeah. I don't know. He's on third. Who's on
Third
third?
base.
Third base.
Third
And then you
base.
see that there's an actual player. I don't know what team he played for or if he's even an American baseball player, but his name is Who. And it's like, it finally happened.
It's
And you
finally
see him,
happened.
It's
But it's
Who on
HU.
first. Who- Yeah.
But it's HU who.
Who's on
Who's
first?
on? What's the name of the guy on first base? What's on second? I don't know. Who's on second? Who's on first? I don't know. He's on
And
third.
this whole thing
Third
spurred so
base.
many parodies. You know, I remember
Yeah.
from Animaniacs the
Mhm.
whole Woodstock thing. Who's on stage? You know,
Yeah, it was
yes.
Slappy Squirrel and her grandson, and they
nephew,
were
yeah.
doing the band. It was the band and yes,
The band and yes, and the Who.
and the Who. Who's on
They-
stage? The band. What band? The band. Who's the
The
band?
band.
The band. Yes.
What's the
not
name
them.
of the band
Who?
on stage?
Who? The band.
The band
I
on
was just-
stage.
Abbott and Costello also did a different version of that with the pick and the shovel during they meet the mummy.
Yeah.
I picked the pick. No, I picked the shovel. He gets pick.
And they did a whole bunch of those. Abbott and Costello meet Dracula, meet the Mummy, meet the Wolfman.
Yeah.
And your last fact there is about one of my all-time favorite films, right?
Yes, it is. 1994, Forrest Gump, directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and Gary Sinise, is released. Academy Awards Best Picture in 1995.
Robbing the real Best Picture winner, The Shawshank Redemption.
But no one saw in theaters.
Doesn't matter. You know how many movies have won the Oscar for Best Picture that nobody's ever seen?
Yeah, most of those are artsy or foreign films that nobody wanted to see to begin with.
Yeah. Nobody knew what a Shawshank Redemption was.
True.
Then again, I liked Forrest Gump the first time I saw it, and then it kind of just like after
Each time
repeated
you've seen it
viewings.
after. Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of those movies like after repeated viewings, I could take it or leave it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is long.
Yeah. We have a must-try beer craft destination for us, Mike.
I must try beer. It's the incredible Pulp Blood Orange Extra Pale Ale from Boneyard Beer, Bend, Oregon. There are crazy, hazy colors to this citrusy pale ale, pink, orange, and red with light pink foam, and an amazing fruity citrus aroma. With some tangerine and even a hint of strawberry, this beer starts with Pilsner malt, but the hops and citrus dominate, perhaps by design, as things begin with a very clean canvas. There's not much bitterness or sweetness, but there's a faint freshness of tartness. There you go.
All right. It's time for everybody's favorite part of the program, synopsis according to Glip. Brought to you by Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android that'll read the news to you in a natural human voice. Go to newsly.me today and use the promo code ANFERMENT to get your first month premium subscription for free. Stop scrolling, start listening. Newsly.me. So last week we talked about voice acting, voiceovers, voice
You mean
character
Monday.
actors and such. On Monday, well, Monday we talked about it. Tuesday it was released. This is a crazy
We
week
took a
for
day
us.
off, and now we're back.
We didn't record on Thursdays like we normally do, and we ended up
Or
recording
Friday.
on Monday night, on Monday afternoon actually, and released on Tuesday. And now we were recording the following Thursday, so it's been a weird week for us.
Mhm.
But the episode that we previously released, episode 112, was called "The Voices in Our Head" and was all about voice actors. According to Glip, this was the synopsis of that episode. The focus of the meeting was personal favorite lines, arcades for adults, favorite lines for movies, Batman video games, voice of a guy and Billy Crystal. Kevman and Leo discussed the arcade for adults and the high score. Leo discussed the different voices of Axl Rose and the picture of Herbert in the corner. Kevman and Mike are discussing the voice of the character in Toy Story and other animated feature films.
Apparently, you didn't discuss anything about animated feature films there, Lee.
I don't know, Matt. That
Mm-mm.
synopsis went all over the place.
I went back to the adult arcade twice.
Yeah, the arcade for adults is when Kevin was talking about going to the laundromat.
Yep.
That's right.
He said it was like an arcade for adults.
The
And I
most
said,
boring
yeah,
arcade for adults ever.
I said there's no high score though, so that's what I focused on there. We did talk about Billy Crystal a little bit. We talked about the voice
For
of
the
a lot of
voice
different
guy
guys.
and Billy Crystal?
Yeah, we talked about Batman because we were talking about Kevin Conroy. The Axl Rose thing was how Axl Rose singing in concert recently sounded like Herbert the Pervert from Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about. I mean, it pretty much got it in just a very weird, convoluted way.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kevin Conroy, when we were talking about him last episode, I noticed that he had done 2 guest appearances on Cheers. So I
Right.
looked up those episodes because I was curious about them, and it was weird seeing him not just acting and not instead of doing a voice character, but also like so young. Because the episode he appeared in was 1991, I believe it was, and he plays a character who that Carla is interested in the show. He's a baseball player for the Red Sox. So not only is he young, he's also like really buff.
Oh wow.
Like you see him older, when he got older, he was very thin, but he was pretty well put together as a young man.
Mhm.
It was interesting to see him doing something that wasn't a Batman cartoon. So that was our synopsis according to Glip. So I got a real quick 90s movie list challenge for you. Speaking of Forrest Gump and some other things that we're going to be talking about later on tonight. Of the list of movies here that I have in front of me, these are all movies that were released in the 90s. How many of these films have you seen? And I'll let you know this. I have seen every single one of these. I know, you're shocked.
Didn't we do this the other night?
I think we did this the other night, but let's do this again here with Kevin with us now, too. So, film number 1, have you seen it? Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
All right. 7,
Yes.
The Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Yes.
Goodfellas.
Yes.
Yes.
Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Yes.
Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yes.
Yes.
Fight Club.
Yes.
No.
The Usual Suspects.
Yes.
No.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
No.
Schindler's List.
Yes.
Yes.
Boys in the Hood.
No.
Yes.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Yes.
Toy Story 1 and 2.
Yes.
Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
No.
Fargo.
Yes.
No.
Reservoir Dogs.
No.
There's a stipulation with this. I've begun to watch it many a time. I just can't get past the one scene. I stop after the one scene.
So that's like a half for you.
Yeah. I mean,
American-
I fast forward through it, so I missed a part.
American Beauty.
Yes.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Yes.
And The Lion King.
Yes.
Yes.
So Kevin missed 1.5 of those. Mike, it was like about 5 or so of those movies.
At least. Well, I have to.
In your defense, I know. In your defense, you were in Germany. You were deployed. When
And
those
they don't
movies
have
came
movies
out.
in Germany.
And in Germany,
Oh,
you're only allowed to watch 2 movies in Germany. It's the original All's Quiet on the Western Front and Das Boot.
No, we had one movie theater that showed 2 movies.
Yes, All's
Every
Quiet
so
on the
often.
Western Front, Das
We
Boot.
looked at those 2. When the new releases came out, it was 2 movies, and it was only so many. So,
You get to watch
was-
the greatest game.
and then most of the times I was at the bar drinking anyway. So
It was Troop Beverly Hills with Shelley Long.
I did get to see the original Star Wars there in the theaters
Yeah, so did I. Not in Germany, but in America.
in Germany.
I like Robin Williams does this whole thing. He talks about how he went to some kind of Q&A and a German woman had asked him at one point, why do you think there are not as many comedies produced in Germany?
I've heard this. Yeah, go ahead.
And he says to her, do you think it's because you got rid of all the funny people? And she says to him, no.
Oh, Robin.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Well, lots of questions.
We'll be right back after this short break with our main segment, the top 5 films we wish we could experience for the first time all over again. This podcast is hosted by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message to the world. If you want an upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find exactly what you need. We use Buzzsprout and it's a game changer for us. An all-new analytics system helps us track who's listening to our show and where they're listening to it. If you'd like to use Buzzsprout as well, follow the link in our show notes to buzzsprout.com. And while you're there, let them know that Films and Fermentation sent you.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Deb.
And we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today we laughed and learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything, experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
All right.
Hey,
We are back with our main segment. Feels like the first time. Our 5 films that we each chose 5 films that we really like and we would love to experience again for the first time. And what we're going to do is tell you the film, why we were so blown away by it the first time we saw it, and what makes us want to see it again for the first time, to relive that moment over again. So I will go first, and my first one is one that I've mentioned multiple times, that it's a film I would love to see for the first time all over again, because it was one of the best twist endings I've ever seen in a film. And it is The Usual Suspects, starring Kevin Spacey, Gabriel Byrne, Stephen Baldwin,
Benicio del Toro,
Benicio del Toro is in it,
Kevin
Chaz
Pollak.
Palminteri, and a very young guy. What's his name? Grandma Gideon or whatever his name was.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Esposito. No,
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. He's in it
There you
in a
go.
very small role. But The Usual Suspects has probably one of the best twist endings I've ever seen in a film. I for anybody who's not seen it, I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to spoil it for you. But come on, the movie came out in 1993. At this point, check it out and
there was
see
a
this.
second shooter. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I had to give it away.
Yeah, see this film for
Oh
yourself.
man,
And be blown away the way I was. So I did
Back
not see
and
this.
to the left.
I did not see this in the theater. I saw this at home on recommendation of a friend. When it first came
On
out, it was
VHS.
it wasn't VHS. It was a smaller film. I think one can call it an independent film.
This was one of Bryan
because
Singer's first movies.
It was Bryan Singer's first. It was like his 1st
Mhm.
movie directing and writing.
Mhm.
So it was like, this young guy with these actors. Not everybody was like super well known yet. Like Spacey wins his first Oscar for this film.
Yeah.
Gabriel Byrne was probably the biggest name in the film at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was considered sort of like a smaller film. I wasn't interested in it when it first came out. And then a friend of mine was like, you got to watch this. Not only is it a great movie, does it not only have great acting, but man, what an ending. And, that always kind of got me in the 90s with films. I think the 90s was full of films with twist endings. And so the twist blew me away, man. And I was like, I would always love to relive the experience of finding out what happens at the end of this movie for the first time all over again. Because I watch it now, it's still a good movie. It's still fun to watch. The performances are still great, but you know what's coming, and so it kind of, it diminishes the impact a little bit. And plus, I would love to be able to see it in the theater too, and
Right.
not on recommendation from
Yeah.
a friend on VHS. From Blockbuster.
Mhm. That being said, it's not the kind of movie with so many. Oh, it's not the kind of movie with so many visual effects that that is the benefit of the theater. It's just a great telling of a story.
Yeah, it's not a big budget film by any stretch of the imagination, but the way the twist is revealed at the end is what makes me want to see it on the big screen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just the voiceover and imagery and all that stuff would have been awesome to see. So, Kev, I'll go to you then. What's your first one on your list that you would love to re-see again? For the first time?
This is not a popular movie
Yeah,
by any means, but
I
for some
like
reason,
it.
it is one that sticks with me. It was part of my high school experience. It was part of, a time in my life that I got into different music from what I was used to in elementary school. So my movie's The Crow, the original with Brendan Lee, and it had oh man. So here's the thing, like to say Brandon Lee was The Crow, and it's like, oh okay, yeah, but who else was in it? The actors, you know them, but they're not huge names.
This
Trying
is
to think.
another film I think you can say was probably like a small budget.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This
I would
was
say
done
most of
by.
the budget was probably on the special effects.
Mhm.
But it was supposed to be a star-making turn for Brendan Lee.
Yes. Yeah. It had Ernie Hudson in it. It had
Ernie Hudson.
Winston Zedmore.
The main villain, Top Dollar, is played by Michael Wincott, who is
Michael
a
Wincott.
character actor who's been in like a million things.
Right. It had David Patrick Kelly, who you'd know him to see him.
Tony Todd, who was in what was that horror film? Shit, I can't remember the name of it now. The one, Candyman.
Candyman, that's right.
He was the Candyman, Tony Todd.
Mhm.
So he's
Michael
in it,
Maisie, which you'd probably look at him and see. He had a very small role in Seven, but he was in the movie Seven. Lawrence Mason, who was in the movie Hackers. These are all actors that you'd recognize from like other small movies. But this was based off of the James O'Barr comic, which was done in the 80s, heavily influenced by the music James O'Barr was listening to at the time, reflective of the issues that he went through during his experience with his fiance dying in a car accident. But his music, like the music of The Cure, the music of oh, come on, Kev. Can't think of the other bands right now.
I know The Cure. The Cure was like a big.
The Cure was a huge influence on him, and then just putting that music into the movie, the premise it was kind of a super anti-hero movie, but it was I enjoyed it, and I watch it every year around Halloween, Devil's Night, and I kind of liked that's one that I also think I saw that on VHS, and I would have loved to have seen that in the theater.
Same. I watched it on VHS. Katie and I watched it together. It was one of the first movies we watched together. She had a crush on Brandon Lee at the time, which is why we watched it. Of course, the film was marred by his tragic death on the set, and it became a hit. But I think a lot of it was sort of like this macabre curiosity to see this guy's last performance.
Yeah,
right.
And actually, the actor who was responsible, Michael Macy, or Massey, I don't know. He took a break from acting. I mean, that really fucked him up pretty bad, as it would anybody, And you look at what's going on with Rust right now. The Alec
Baldwin film.
Alec Baldwin film. You don't know if he's going to take a break or what's going on in his mind, but you would have to think that that's going to fuck somebody up big time. He took a break and then he slowly introduced, but he won't watch the movie. Understandably, he won't watch the movie. Actually, the director, Alec Proyas, burned the film that actually showed what happened. That wasn't even, it's gone. So,
yeah. That actor, Michael Massey, actually passed away in 2016.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I was shocked to see that. I was on the trivia page just now and saw that.
What about that?
But yeah, that's a good one, The Crow, man. I like The Crow. I think it's an excellent film. Very 90s, man. It does reflect
music,
90s.
too.
It does
Great
reflect
music.
90s, man. Did you like the second one?
God, no. Didn't like the second one, the third one, the TV series.
Not even
it.
the second one had Iggy Pop in it.
Not even that Iggy Pop or the yellow
Power Ranger
was in it.
Here's the question, then. Did you like Sting's version of it? The wrestler Sting.
Yeah. You ever see the wrestler Sting?
Oh, yes. So they were going to reboot it, and they did tap
was it Momoa?
Aquaman, Momoa, yeah, Jason Momoa, and I saw him with the makeup, and I was like, I love the original, but I was kind of like, ooh,
that's a reboot. I think I would actually give it a shot, because I like Momoa, and I think he would embody the part really well. I don't know if that's something that's still in production or not, or if that's kind of
I think it's been
fallen by the wayside. Mike, what's your first one?
Mine is The Godfather.
Yes, I'm not going to say I disagree with this one. Like, if I had a top 10 list, The Godfather would be on there. Like it hurt me not to put it on my list, but
Mhm.
Just because it took you behind the scenes, it made you feel like you were part of the family,
Mhm.
and just the way it ups and downs and the way it was made, it was just a classic. It's like a modern day classic.
I also think it has. I don't think most people would think of it this way, but I think it has a twist ending because you don't realize, you don't know, like it's Don Corleone who figures out who was behind the murder of Sonny, that
Right.
it wasn't the person you think it is. Yeah,
Right.
so it has a little bit of a twist.
Little twist.
Mhm.
I think more
It's-
of the twist is how Michael became even
Becomes
more
the Godfather.
ruthless.
I'm I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare, and to me, The Godfather is a very Shakespearean play.
Yes.
It's the rise and fall of this one man. It's a family tragedy. It's unexpected deaths and all that stuff. So it's very Shakespearean. So that's why I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So my second one is The Sixth Sense.
Talk about your twist ending.
Talk about your twist endings. I'm going to say this.
There was a twist ending to that one?
Yeah, that is the only other film on my list that has a twist ending. I didn't go all twist endings for this. But the reason I put it, and again, I think most people know the ending of this by now. I won't say it for the sake of anybody who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense. But it stars Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment, and a very unrecognizable Donnie Wahlberg in the opening scene. And it's about a psychiatrist working with a young boy who sees ghosts, who sees dead people. Spectacular twist at the end. Didn't see it coming.
Ruin the ending. I'm going to ruin the end. The Butler did it.
Yeah, the Butler did it. Yeah.
The Butler
there were
did it.
There were two shooters.
There were two shooters.
So I saw this in the theater with my sister Dana when it came out. This is in the 90s. And it was one of the first films that I remember seeing where when that ending happened and everybody realized what was going on, the whole theater gasped at the same time. Like the theater was packed. It was a sold out crowd and everybody was like, what? Like, it was just like, I've never been a part of a mass reaction like that before. It was spectacular. It was
Then going back to all the scenes to realize.
Yeah. And then they play back and you see everything and you're like, holy shit, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? And I was really pretty good at, I was really pretty good at picking out the twists, man. So like that one and Usual Suspects both caught me. So it was like, it's why it's an experience I would love to see. I would love to live again. Plus, it's another great movie. It's probably Shyamalan's best movie. He shot his load on that first real film, and then
really sucks to start at the top. Everything afterwards is downhill.
Although I do like Split, and
Split was good. Village wasn't terrible.
Yeah. Lady in the Water sucked ass.
Yeah.
Signs
was,
Signs was all right. What is your second one there, Kev?
My second one is Raiders of the Lost Ark, which also has a twist ending. It has a twist ending. I'm so jonesing to see the new see what I did there? Jonesing to see the new Dial of Destiny movie. I can't wait if I can get a night to.
Well, it can't be worse than the fourth movie, so
no. Actually, I mean this will have to I'm hoping this fits snugly somewhere either second or third in the list of Indiana Jones movies. It's going to be tough to beat Raiders as the top, and the Holy Grail was a nice second place, but we'll have to see how Dial of Destiny holds up. No, this is just a great movie to watch. It's so exciting from the very beginning, It's got a great intro. It's like we didn't experience growing up either the radio shows or the serial movies that were the adventure archaeologist, which was exactly what this was supposed to be. And then everything built off of this format of the adventure archaeologist. Every retelling of it. Yeah. An educated historian who has a side hustle as either, you could consider him a playboy, you could consider him just a ladies' man, but like his side job of like being an adventurer, and just the excitement of the movie You know, the visual effects were exciting. I think something that ruined this a little bit for me, but once it was put out there, the twist that I spoke of was if you watch that one episode of The Big Bang Theory where Amy Farrah Fowler puts out, if he had never gotten involved, it would have followed
same
through
outcome, yeah.
the same outcome. And it's like, oh shit, you know, and it's like,
But then you
yeah, it makes
They
it.
may have not. They may have not found the ark because he's the one that found it for them. His staff was too. Their staff was too short.
Yes, but the staff was
If
too
you
short
call.
was only because
all about the size of your staff. It always
it
is.
was it was the medallion that they would have had with Indy wasn't there. You know, if Indy wasn't there, they would have had the medallion.
You
They
have
would
to look
have
at it this way:
had the correct size for the staff.
if Indy wasn't there, you wouldn't have an exciting adventure film. You'd have some boring documentary about the Nazis finding the Ark.
Yes, but then also not finding the Ark, at least not publicly, because they would have killed themselves with the opening.
They would have
of it.
melted their faces off.
That's right.
Then they'll be sitting on
Which
some
is
island
another reason
somewhere.
why I don't use tanning beds.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is definitely a good choice, and I think
Mhm.
that'd be a cool one to see in the theater. I was too young,
Yep.
probably for when the first one came out. It might have been 7, I think, when it came out.
And I was much older when I realized that Temple of Doom was actually a prequel
Same.
to Raiders. I was like, wait, this takes place before, you know?
Yeah, I didn't realize that too much later.
Yeah, that
either.
little date at the beginning kind of tells you that.
And I
Who
can't.
pays attention to dates on
Yeah,
things?
right, man. When you're a kid, I can't say for certain, but I think I saw Temple first before I saw Raiders.
Oh, so you watch them chronologically.
Yeah, like kind of like just based on my age, like I probably would have saw Temple first because I was a little bit older,
Mhm.
and then watch Raiders or something like that. But still, doesn't tarnish the fact that it's a great film and one I would love to have seen in the theater.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen that giant rolling boulder on the big screen. Mike, what's your second one?
Mine is The Matrix.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. When I saw that, I'm thinking, I did see that in the theater, and it was an experience. I really left
It took me
enjoying it.
I didn't watch it until all 3 movies had come out. Remember, Lee?
You're coming in late on it, so for you, it's like
Mhm.
it took you so long to join the club.
Well, I'm not a big Keanu fan.
Yeah. I
Does
say
he-
I'm not, but then I've seen every one of his films. So
To me, Keanu's not an actor. Then he was a movie star. Whoa, dude.
all right,
Whoa.
we all know great movie stars too. Sean
That's
Connery,
right. hmm
Richard Gere.
One of
they're all
Leo's
great.
favorite movies is The Lake House.
Yeah, that's right. It's a time travel film.
Just say.
It reunited him with good old Sandy Bullock.
The Sandy Bullock.
But The Matrix is definitely going. Like The Matrix is one like I came to not as late as you did, but later because I
Mhm.
saw it again. I saw it on VHS with Katie actually, and I wish I had seen it in the theater.
I have to say, I was very happy, and I saw it with a friend of mine in college. It was kind of like one of these, hey, I'm going to go see a movie. You want to go? She was like, yeah, sure. And we watch it. We're like, oh my God, my mind is blown. What the hell just happened there?
What did I
it
just
was-
watch?
Yeah, like I would have liked to have
exactly.
seen it on a theater screen and not on like a 17-inch
Mhm.
TV with the VCR built into it.
And I gotta say, like when the Animatrix came out, and it kind of had the background, kind of like the build up to what actually became the Matrix. So that was interesting to me because I wanted that right after that movie. I wanted to be like, wait, what do you mean the machines, took over, and how did that come about? And it
The
was very
Animatrix was a better follow up than a Matrix than
Yeah.
Reloaded and Revolutions were.
And now we
I
have ChatGPT.
I got it late, guys, because I got to watch it on my big 70-inch surround
I know
sound
Mike got to
TV
watch it in his
in high
little
def.
in his man cave. That's probably as close as you can get to a movie theater is watching it on Mike's screen. My third one, shocker, is The Shawshank Redemption.
What? You never talk about this movie.
I never talk
That's on
about this
all
movie.
his lists.
It's on every list
All of them.
every list I ever talk about. It's Shawshank's one, except for like bad movie lists. Shawshank is a movie. Again, I had, like you said, Mike. Nobody heard of it. When it was nominated for Best Picture, it was like a movie that barely made any money in the box office. Had a weird title. You had Morgan Freeman in it, who was starting to gain popularity at the time. You had Tim Robbins, who was still kind of like new to the scene. A bunch of other actors who were like journeyman character actors, and a film that was like just kind of like there, but is, I would say, built a cult status since then and has become, many people's favorite film of all time. If you
Right.
if you go by IMDb top 250 list. But when I saw it again, it was at a recommendation of a friend. I watched it on VHS again at home, and
Well,
was
it was
just
on cable like every day.
I know. And for a movie that like at times was so bleak and depressing, to have such a happy ending and an ending that was so full of hope. I mean, that was the reason that I loved it at first, because I was like, wow, this ended up being so much more fulfilling than I thought the experience was going to be. It's the first time I realized you could watch a movie that involved a love story between two men that wasn't romantic or sexual. I mean, it's a platonic love story, basically. And I would love to see that again. Again, I would love to be able to see it on the big screen when it first came out, and instead of being one of those, ignorant, uncultured children.
This may have been one of the first Stephen King movies. Like, I found out later it was a Stephen King novella, and I was like, wait a second, he didn't just write, horror and gore and all. And they're like, no, Green Mile, and it kind of branched out. I was like, okay, so appreciate him for his multitude of work, and see what you like of his. I'm not a huge fan of the gory stuff, but I do really enjoy like these things.
He did write Maximum Overdrive, so come on, let's not go too far.
He directed that too, while
Yeah,
snorting a
really
bag of
not go too
cocaine
far.
every day. He also did Stand By Me. That's his story too.
He did Stand By Me. He did The Green Mile. He did Apt Pupil, which I didn't think was gory, but it was definitely scary.
It was an interesting
Like
film.
it had interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
He said himself, like, his favorite film adaptations of his work have all
Mhm.
been his dramatic works and not his horror stories. Like Shawshank, Green Mile, Stand By Me are three of his favorite films,
Yeah.
and because they're probably his three best works.
They still can't get The Dark Tower right, but that's okay.
No, they never get that one right. Kev, what's your third one?
My third one was a movie came out in college, and I remember watching it in college, and good college memories is Braveheart, with Mel Gibson and not Catherine. Am I thinking of the right one? Catherine. No, it's not Catherine. Hold on. It's Sophie
Marceau was the French princess.
Was the French princess, but his love interest, the female, the Irish or Scottish love interest was
Mary something, I think.
Mary McCormick.
Yep.
Is that name right? Mary McCormick, right?
They got every Scottish
right.
actor we can find.
Oh, seriously, I'm looking at it now, and it's Patrick McGoogan.
Patrick McGoohan as King Edward. Angus
Angus
McFadden as Robert
McFadden.
Bruce.
This was my first introduction to Brian Cox as Argyle Wallace. Very
You
small
also
role for him.
have Brendan Gleeson was his friend Hamish.
Yes.
Hamish's father is played by James Cosmo, who's basically played like a Scottish warrior in every movie he's ever been in. A great film.
A great movie, and this was kind of like Mel Gibson at his peak.
Yeah,
I want to say, right
Before he opened his mouth.
I agree.
Before he opened his mouth, before the passion. The passion was great, but
he won an Oscar for this for directing.
Yeah.
I'm still partial to Lethal Weapon with him in it, so I'm sorry.
I think this is my favorite Mel Gibson film.
Yeah.
If I had to make a list of movies that I have seen, possibly triple digits, Shawshank, Braveheart, Goodfellas, that would be on the list.
It's a good love story, but it's also, an action movie.
I remember when I watched it the first time thinking to myself, holy shit, they just killed the main character.
Oh, at
and
the
not
end.
not realizing that. I mean, it's very loosely based on a true story, but that it was based on a true story. So
They killed the main character.
it's written by his descendant, so that tells you something. Randall
Yeah.
Wallace is the writer of the film. So, Mike, what's your third one? I've never heard of this film. Is this an independent film?
Yeah, it's a little thing that came out in 1977. Star Wars: A New Hope. I mean, it's just like, made special effects what special effects are today.
For better or worse. It got George Lucas started, for better or worse. Yeah,
Oh, he had THX prior to this.
I should have put this on my list because it's Star Wars, but I was like,
I would have thought you would have put it on Empire on your list.
Maybe. I didn't want to put. I just thought I could have made a whole list of just seeing Star Wars films over again for the first time. So I didn't want to
Even the first three, even the
prequels, because I saw them all in the theater and I went in with a whole lot of anticipation. And I would like to remind myself of the disappointment I felt. I did the same thing with the sequels, man. I was the premiere for all three of them. A person who hates people and crowds, was at the premiere for these three films. Star Wars, I did get to see for the first time over again, in a sense, because I got to see it on screen in the 90s when they did the re-release.
These special editions.
Yeah, but then they changed everything in it.
Yeah, but still, it was neat to get to see it because I was born in 1977, so
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the theater originally either because I was only 3.
I wasn't appalled by the special edition. I thought, and when you saw the whole big, why are you re-releasing them? He was saying he wanted to put in the stuff that he couldn't do before because now the visual effects were there. Since the release of Leo's last movie, and I'm not going to give away that name, the ability to add these special effects, these scenes, were there for him to do it. And he had the prequels coming up, so he kind of wanted to rehash it,
Yeah. It was also the 25th anniversary.
And it was the 25th anniversary, and he was able to re-merchandise all that shit again with better toy companies. And I'll be damned if I didn't want to buy all that crap over again, even though I was, in a senior in high school going into college. It's like,
I don't think the stuff he put into the New Hope was that bad. It's when he did Jedi. And changed shit.
New Hope wasn't bad. Empire wasn't. There wasn't much that was added.
There wasn't
to
much.
That. It was Return to the Jedi that were really when Hayden Christensen shows up at the end.
Yeah.
That was I don't get that.
But changing the ending scene, changing the song, changing the scene to see all the other worlds,
that didn't bother me so much.
Empire. No, I like that. I thought that was a great addition.
But Hayden Christensen and changing the Ewok song.
Yeah. And then the extended rock concert at Jabba's Palace. I think
that was a little much.
Return of Jedi was the first Star Wars film I saw in the theater because I was 7 or 8 when that came out. So I was too young for Empire and New Hope, but
I saw Empire in the theater.
I was too young for those films.
No, I was too young for those two. I know I went to the Orleans 8 with my brother, a neighbor named Darrell Hirschman, and my father. I think we were even late to coming into it. I think we may have come in just at the point where Luke was being tossed into the Rancor pit.
Wow. So my next one on the list is the newest film to have come out to be on my list, and I put it on there because it was a film I watched recently, a film that really stuck with me after I watched it, because it lived up to my expectations and more, because it was so much more than I expected the film to be. And that was The Menu with Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes. I knew it was going to be sort of like a horror film. I didn't realize it was going to be as funny as it was. I mean, it had some really funny moments in it. Fucked up moments, but funny moments. Ralph Fiennes looked like he was having the time of his life in this film.
Mhm.
Anya Taylor-Joy is amazing, and I was so happy when she ate that hamburger at the end because she really looked like she needed it.
Yeah.
Uh, Nick Holt was really good in it as the like sycophant,
Mhm.
fan of this chef. All the creative items that they brought out throughout the dinner that were like not what you expected, and a really really interesting use of s'mores.
But
That
then they
makes
also
me
have one. There was one guy. I forget how he was connected to everybody, but they put wings on him and they hoisted him up.
oh, that was
And then
he was the benefactor of the restaurant.
Oh, that's right.
And at the end, when he's giving out the gift bags, he's like, "Of course, your gift bags include a little bit of everything we've eaten tonight, a copy of the menu, one of Mr. McGarrity's fingers." Yeah, and they drown him and light him on fire and all that. Yeah, it was such a messed up movie that like I even upon watching it again, I was like I found some things I hadn't seen the first time. But I really wish I could have watched it again for the first time because it was just such a cool. It was nice to be surprised by a film. Bless you, sir. I wasn't, expecting what I got out of that. So, Kevin, I approve of your fourth choice.
Do you? Is
I
this
do
one that you
approve.
can get behind?
I can definitely get behind this because this would be in my
What?
top 10 if I had a
Am I a
top 10
clown?
list.
Do I make you laugh?
Yeah.
Do I amuse you?
Am I a clown? Do I amuse you? Am I here to make you laugh? Dance, Spider. My fourth film is Goodfellas. Maybe the popping of my cherry. I mean, yeah, I'd say the popping of my cherry to The Mob. I did watch, I watched.
You obviously
The
didn't grow up in my
Godfather.
family.
No, I watched The Godfather. I read the book The Godfather, but this was all after Goodfellas. Goodfellas was the one that I watched of my own volition that I understood that was more modern. It didn't involve the family so much as the Corleone family, where that was a whole thing passed down and the ranking of it. This was just you have your three guys, and actually being told from Henry's perspective, where he's not even Italian, and he's doing the narration. But it was, and again, I'm not a big fan of gore, but there was a shit ton of violence. I think it gave me, from watching Joe Pesci as the Wet Bandits in Home Alone, and then seeing his performance here, it's a huge difference.
And then after this, he did My Cousin Vinny.
Yes. Yes.
The youth.
The two youths.
My favorite Pesci line. There's so many lines in the film that are great from him. From the do I amuse you to what do you like, the leg of the wing? Or are you more of a hearts and guts kind of guy? Like all that stuff's funny. My favorite line from him is when he beats the shit out of Billy Batts in Henry Hill's diner,
Get your Starbucks.
and he beats the shit out of him. He's like, "I'm sorry, Henry. I never meant to get blood on your floor."
Well, like when he's talking to his mom at the end of the night, being like, "Oh, the paw,
the paw. I gotta hack
stuck
it
in
out.
the grill."
I
gotta-
can't leave it to sin.
I like this painting. You got this dog looking one way, dog looking the other way. This guy's here like, "Hey, what do you want from me?"
Hey, he reminds me of somebody.
It would be in my top 10 if I had a top 10 list of films I'd love to rewatch again for the first time. Hey, Bub, what's up? She says she's not sharing the strudel bread with me.
I thought you would make French toast out of it or something.
Still have to make that banana beer bread
With the bit, yeah,
with banana beer.
Yeah.
Banana beer bread.
banana beer bread.
Where do we leave off?
Me.
Mike. Mike's fourth one. Go ahead, Mike.
The Prestige.
Getting back to
that's
twist
a good
endings.
one.
Yeah, talking about some twist endings, some twist middles, some twist feelings.
The whole movie is a twist.
The whole movie's a twist. Great cameo
twisted.
from David
Mhm.
Bowie.
Yeah. And Andy Serkis.
hmm
Mhm.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah, that was.
Another great Christopher Nolan film.
great performance from Christian Bale as two people.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And I forget Scarlett
Wow.
Johansson's in that film.
Scarlett Johansson's in there, and Hugh Jackman actually performs as two people as well. You know,
Yeah, it's a twin film.
Should have went on a twin movie film.
We're getting
Yes,
back
it's
to
really
twist ending. Another
Uh-huh.
great twist ending, man.
It really
Yeah.
was.
Now, which is the better film, The Illusionist or The Prestige?
Prestige.
Oh no, The Prestige. The Prestige, but I definitely loved The Illusionist. The reveal at the end, because that was also the twist, and how it played out. It reminded me of like an Agatha Christie, though, the way that they cut, like how he pieces everything together at the end of it.
That one's more of a mystery, whereas The Prestige is more like a sci-fi fantasy sort of
Yeah.
film. And The Prestige, I think, is a little more entertaining. It's The Illusionist suffered from the fact that it was a twin film because it came out the same year as The Prestige,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to see
And
a
it
little bit of
wasn't
what.
as sexy. It wasn't
No.
as sexy. It had Jessica Biel. It had James Gandolfini. No, not James Gandolfini. Who am I thinking of here? The one from Sideways.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Had Edward Norton, Paul Giamatti, Edward Norton, Rufus Wainwright. Not Rufus Wainwright. Rufus.
Rufus Sewell.
We would go back and get everybody's name wrong.
I need
I
another.
thought we were done with
You
that.
need another mule, sir.
Mhm.
Yeah, The Prestige is a good one.
But it was good.
The last one on my list is another one that I've talked about a million times before, and for obvious reasons, this would be a movie I would love to see again for the first time, and that is Jurassic Park.
Mm.
Yeah.
All I want to
Yeah.
see again for the first time is the introduction to the Brachiosaurus at the beginning when it jumps up on its hind legs to eat the plants off the tree. And
Oh, I mean, that's good, but I think I need to see the T-Rex, the introduction of the T-Rex for the first time.
that's
again.
another great one.
Yeah,
Or the introduction to that giant pile of shit that Laura Dern sticks her arms in. That's a big pile of shit.
It is. Clever girl.
I would love
watching
to. I would love the
Oscars.
experience again for the first time. Semi-shirtless Jeff
That's what I'm
Goldblum.
saying. What is that? You watching Jeff Goldblum half shirtless, laying in the back of the car. Let's go
I was
faster.
looking up
Let's go
Funko.
faster.
Let's go faster.
I was looking up Jurassic Park Funko Pops recently, and they have a Funko Pop of Jeff Goldblum laying across the table with his shirt half open.
Yes, they do.
I can't say enough about Jurassic Park. I've talked about it so much before. I don't think I have to keep saying it, but just it was the movie going experience
Mhm.
that always made me want to relive, that particular movie going experience.
It got me into rereading books, like getting into like adult. I don't want to say adult books the way you guys are going to think adult books, but reading Michael Crichton. Watching the trailer for that come out, and then my mom going out and getting me the novel, and she goes, if you can finish this before the movie, we'll go see the movie. And that was all I needed. I flipped through that book, and I was just like, oh, this is great. And then the movie came out, and I liked the movie, but it was probably one of the more signifying moments of, well, that wasn't in the book. Well, that wasn't in the book. They didn't live in the book, So
I'm glad
Great
kind
movie.
of glad I didn't read the book till after I'd seen the film, because
yeah.
I was always kind of like that myself. Kev, what's your last one you got there?
My last one is another Christopher Nolan film. You guys know of my favorite superhero being Batman. So this is The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight. Not even Batman Begins. Batman Begins was very good, but The Dark Knight was phenomenal. The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Alone.
Yeah. Dark Knight
Watch that
is what
again.
comic book movies could be when it's art.
Exactly. And watching it and seeing what he does and how, I mean, and I don't want to take away from the Two-Face storyline, because that was a good signifier too. I liked how the Joker played the integral part in turning him And unfortunately his role as Two-Face was way too short. But just how well a Batman movie could be done with the Joker and Batman, and teetering on that, do you have too many villains? Because now you have Two-Face, but he wasn't a villain for the whole thing. Just a great movie.
If I had one criticism, it would be they should have had Two-Face show up, but near the end, and let him live,
Mm-hmm.
and made that into the third movie.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand where they were going with that because they were hiding the fact that he killed all those cops and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to keep his face as the face of the hero of Gotham. And then in the third film, Heath Ledger was supposed to return as the Joker, and that was supposed to be the connecting thread was the Harvey Dent story. But unfortunately, with Heath Ledger's passing, they had to, reinvent how they were going to use that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which I liked Tom Hardy as Bane. I think
Oh yeah.
the Joker
Mhm.
would have made more sense in that film.
Yeah.
But I did like Tom Hardy's Bane.
I like the
Now-
introduction of the Catwoman,
Mhm.
And then the revisiting of
God, bend over on that bike.
the revisiting of the League of Shadows. I'm not going to give away the twist there. There was a lot of good that was in The Dark Knight Rises, but
Mhm.
not as good as The Dark Knight.
So the three of us saw The Dark Knight together
Mm-hmm.
on like premiere weekend
Mm-hmm.
with our wives and with some other friends and such. And yeah, my wife said I forgot about that. So I loved even though we got little glimpses of Heath Ledger online as the Joker, like little glimpses, pictures here and there, that
Mhm.
opening scene with that bank heist and
Yeah.
the reveal, it's
Mhm.
just such a great way to reveal your villain.
hmm
And every scene he's in, of course, is just a masterpiece of acting.
Yeah.
Let me show you a magic trick.
I
See
saw a
his
meme
pencil
the other day. I saw a meme the other day. It was like, I want my man to hold me like Heath Ledger holds the Gyllenhaal. And it's like,
Oh,
you see the
Jesus.
picture of, Brokeback Mountain, and then you see the picture of him as the Joker in The Dark
Maggie
Knight.
Gyllenhaal.
I want my man to hold me like Heath Ledger holds the Gyllenhaals.
Oh, beautiful. You are beautiful. And here we go. Michael, what is your last one?
My last one is Now You See Me.
I'm about to shit all over Mike's choice.
Yeah. I know you dislike the movie. I
I
thoroughly
liked
enjoyed
the movie. I liked it for what it was. I just thought it was an
Mhm.
improbable twist ending.
So the cop was the bad guy.
Yeah.
For what?
No, it wasn't that he was the
That's-
bad guy that I didn't like. It was the reveal. Like, he couldn't really have been involved in some of the stuff that happened because he wasn't there to say it. I mean, I know that's why they call it Now You See Me, but
But,
I do
up
like
until
seeing
that
Woody
point-
Harrelson in different roles, though, because I enjoy Woody Harrelson's performances.
Mhm.
But and
The,
it was
the magic tricks they
And
show,
it's Fisher.
yeah, and what was his name? The guy that played Mark Zuckerberg.
What's his name? Oh shit.
It's one of those
I think
nights
it-
where it's like I'm having a hard
I
time
think it-
remembering things.
you gotta love Michael Caine.
Jesse
Anything Michael Caine-
Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. That's a reunion for him
Yeah.
and Woody Harrelson because they were in Zombieland together.
I seriously questioned whether or not Christopher Nolan had anything to do with this one because of the actors being used.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of go back to familiar faces, and this had Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. But no, he has nothing to do with this movie.
No, it had a better twist ending. I'm sorry, Mike. I know it's a film you would like to see again because you enjoyed it. I am shitting on it.
I enjoyed all the special effects and all the magic tricks. You got to be
Mhm.
the smartest guy in the room, and he hits the hits the table, the handcuffs are on the other guy. Yeah, come on.
No, I did enjoy the magic and all that. So I mean, it was a sleek movie. It was a fun movie to watch. I just had a problem with the ending. So I have an honorable mention, Kev, because I just watched this a couple of days ago. I haven't seen it in a while, and I needed something funny to watch. This is the end.
This is kind of like putting the hangover on this too.
Yeah.
Which would not necessarily be a bad thing to see again for the first time, because I hurt my rib cage laughing so hard through it.
Yes. So
but this is the end. Yeah.
This is the end. Kevin and I saw in the theater together. It's Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, Jay Baruchel, Craig Robinson, James Franco, Danny McBride,
Emma
and
Watson.
a whole slew of guest actors and
Cameos.
guest appearances. And it's just, oh my God, it was just as funny watching it a couple of days ago as it was watching it the first time.
With
But just to see
Satan's
that
dong.
giant demon dong on the screen again, or to hear Danny McBride, or duplicitous taint, he calls him. You duplicitous taint. It's
Here's
such
an
a
honorable mention for you.
what's that?
Here's an honorable mention for you.
Sure.
Clue.
That'd be a fun one to watch again for the first time. Ghostbusters. Be a fun one to watch again for the first time.
There's a lot of them out there, but
House of a Thousand Corpses.
oh hell no.
Fun to
We
watch
shit
again.
on that movie enough.
The artist.
What's that, Kate? Kate said to stop messing with people. Mike, you have any beer trivia or beer history for us this evening?
I have some beer history. In the second book of Herodotus, dated to around 450 BCE, there is an account of an ancient Egyptian making wine from barley, as grapes did not grow in their part of the world. However, several accounts from scripture and other sources confirm that grapes actually grew quite well in Egypt. So one might conclude that people were simply had a preference for beer.
Well, it was hot. They needed something refreshing.
That's right.
They
Speaking
made they made shanties.
Speaking of refreshments, how are our refreshments this evening, gentlemen?
Empty.
Short-lived. I needed another.
Yes, mine was
Right.
short-lived too.
Mhm.
I had the Classic City Lager from Creature Comforts Brewing. I have another one in the fridge. I might crack that open, when the show's over. I can't say I would just be disappointed with a Moscow Mule like Kevin had. That's always one of my favorites. And I've had the same drink that Mike has had before too, and it's also another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Good selection of drinks this evening.
Yes.
So thank you everybody for joining us tonight for episode 113. Feels like the first time. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can send us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to follow all of our social media and podcast links, including Threads on Instagram, at least while it's still around.
Damn you, Elon. Get your hands off our threads.
You can go to Teespring to get our merch or go to Patreon to support Kevin. It's up to you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between pickled and fermented next time around for episode 114, The Final Frontier. Awesome. Excellent. I got a little guest appearance by Spock now. So we've done a lot of talking about Star Wars over the course of this show. We've mentioned Star Trek a few times, but we feel like Star Trek has not gotten the love it deserved. So we are going to do an entire Star Trek related episode next time around. Episode 114, The Final Frontier. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
It feels like the first time. Feels like the very first time. It feels like the first time. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Hey,
Hey, movie lovers, it's Jackson here from the Back to the Blockbuster podcast. If you've ever wanted to hear an amateur cinephile and an industry professional chat about film and television, then look no further, because every week my co-host Gaius and I, we bring you the latest industry news, break down the most recent trailers, try to beat the box office with our weekly predictions, and dive into our favorite movies on their anniversaries. And every second Friday, you can look forward to the Back to the Blockbuster spin-off, Deep Dives with Owen and Gaius, where the duo dissects a movie of their own choice. All this and more wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Let me ask you a question. When you were a kid, did you ever wonder what teachers talked about in the teacher's lounge?
You probably didn't miss much. It's usually boring stuff like grading papers, lesson planning, and then figuring out the new train schedule.
Train schedule?
Well, I teach in the city.
But sometimes, at one of the not-so-cool tables in the back of the teacher's lounge, you might find us, the Fandalorians, teachers by day, nerds by night.
My name is Mr. Richardson, and by day, Mr. McDonald, Mr. G, and I teach and inspire America's youth.
But by night, we debate, discuss, and argue about all things in the pop culture universe on our podcast.
We discuss all the biggest pop culture topics in the world, like Ozark, Stranger Things, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Marvel, Star Wars, Top Gun Maverick, The Old Man, Bridgerton, you name it, we'll probably discuss it.
You guys watch Bridgerton?
Yo, season 1 of Bridgerton was awesome. You don't know what you're missing. Since we are teachers, you will always get a ton of background information about our topics and original teacher-themed segments, like our pop culture morning announcements, building meetings, and post-observation reviews of shows and movies. Oh, and arguing. You'll get lots of disagreements and arguing, like way more than I'm comfortable with.
You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night.
Then join us every Monday as we look into the current state of fandom and pop culture.
Hey, look, the bell's about to ring. We need to head to the buses. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Well, I mean, they're not going to see us because this is a podcast.
I know.
But they can't even see us when you think about it, so they won't see us either.
Oh my God, you know what I meant. It wasn't literal. Just ring the bell. Ring the bell.
The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night. I hope you listen and subscribe to us soon.
I hate you guys.